You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
With success comes immense beatdowns. And every time you're underwater, you feel a little foot on your head holding you down just a little further. The more successful you get, the more underwater you feel a little bit. And it deteriorates that foolish confidence.
Oh, boy! Should we just dive in?
Yeah, I'm already neck deep. Let's dive in. Let's go.
Okay.
Okay. Hey,
yes.
everyone.
Sorry, I
It's
interrupted
always,
the intro.
no, it's good. The intro somehow for this show always ends up me laughing. It doesn't matter
good.
what goes.
We got the same memo to wear green today, too. It looks
Aw.
like.
Oh, you guys did. I didn't.
We
I
matched.
missed out on the green.
But we also didn't come from the gym.
I usually wear green to the gym, so this is very strange that I'm not in my green right now. My alphaba, I call it.
Oh.
Wouldn't it be great if all your intros had all this laughter, but then you get to what that podcast is about, and you're like, anyway, this is about the Holocaust. Let's dive right in.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seals, and we are two perfect strangers who met by chance and embraced opportunity. Listen in as we chat with other successful people about the risks. That's assuming we're successful.
I was thinking the same thing, Alan.
Alan, it's called manifestation, for God's sake.
Listen in as we chat with other successful people about the risks they've taken to put themselves on a path to creative success.
I don't ever know what to do with Alan's announcer voice. It always throws me off.
You guys have great podcasting voices.
Oh, thank you.
Both of you.
Hey, that voice you're hearing is our guest today. Welcome, Drew Gasparini, to the show. Alan's going to tell you all about him.
Okay, so Drew is my announcer voice. Drew is currently hot in the middle of workshops. Okay. Drew is currently hot in the middle of workshops for the Karate Kid musical coming to Broadway. He's writing an adaptation of Night Shift for Warner Brothers Theater Ventures. He's got another adaptation for Universal Theater Group. He's got a dog that is part pterodactyl. He wrote the 2019 PR stunt, the Skittles commercial, the Broadway musical starring Michael C. Hall. He has a very funny celebrity interview podcast on the Broadway Podcast Network, and is just all around a great guy. He goes to the gym too.
And
Welcome,
he usually wears green. So.
Usually, typically. Hi, guys. I'm so happy I made it. I'm still sweating right now because, as I was explaining to you, I really sincerely ran directly from the gym because I forgot about this podcast. I'm sorry, but I'm here. Look
You're
at
here.
me, committing. I committed, baby.
And
I'm
you
here.
followed through. Was it chance?
I followed through.
I wonder.
It was chance that I forgot, and then it was, and then it turned into an amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Here I am.
Oh my gosh. I'm excited to meet you. I'm
so excited to meet you. Heather, can I just say I love your last name and the two names combined? Heather Vickery. That sounds like a Marvel character before they find out what their power is. You know
Oh my God. My kids are going to
like an
love
origin
that.
story. Yeah, tell your kids that you have an origin story in the works.
They are going to love that. Thank you. I'm rather fond of my name. That's why I never changed it when I got married. And then when I got divorced, it was easier. So
yeah, less paperwork is what I say. That's right.
No, thank you for that. Well, I have been, internet stalking you ever since Alan said, I want to have my friend Drew on the show.
Oh, great.
And you're funny. That's fun.
Yeah,
you're fun
thanks.
to
No
social
pressure.
stalk. No pressure.
Should I take offense to the fact that you hadn't already just memorized everything I've done and put out there
You could.
content-wise?
You could totally take offense to that if you want to, but
Is
for
it chance that I'm offended right now?
I don't know, maybe. But for anybody, including me, who's listened to that very funny celebrity interview on the Broadway Podcast Network that Alan referenced earlier, and I think that we dropped that because we're also on the Broadway Podcast Network. So I think that's why he slid that in.
I love
we're going to leave out the
Podcast
fact that it
Network.
was Alan's own show. That's okay.
I just wait. No. I totally didn't even drop the name. He has his own podcast. Now We're Talking with Drew Gasparini.
That's
he
right.
interviews his own celebrities.
You're also
on the network.
It's a 3-way on the network. Now.
Yes, right. I have been on Alan's show as well, and Alan's other show that he produces with Josh Lehman. I was on that show as well.
Listen, this is not only Heather's origin story, this is her podcast orgy story. Right?
Wow. What the orgy it is.
We're going to edit that out. Okay, wait. What is your show, Drew? That's hosted
my
on
show
the Broadway
is
Podcast
called
Network?
My show on the Broadway Podcast Network is called Now We're Talking with Drew Gasparini, and it's just a really silly little chat with friends of mine from show business and people who I'm not friends with, which is like the best part about it. It's like inviting people I don't know on. And then, shooting the shit with them. Oh, can I swear? I said shit.
Oh, yeah, we can fucking swear on this show.
Oh, no, you don't swear. Good. Okay, good. Otherwise, I'm really the worst guest.
I would be the worst guest, too.
Who's the biggest guest you've had so far?
The biggest guest I've had so far. Well, we just had Kate Baldwin on, so that'll be fun. She's coming. Nice. And right before that, we had Matt Doyle. Adam Pascal was a pretty big guest. I think it depends on who you think is cool. Because even though he's a good.
Who do you think has been like the coolest, the most like, oh my God, this person's now talking to me? Because that's how you feel right now with Drew fucking Gasparini.
I'm sure that's only sort of true. But my favorite episode on the podcast so far, and in real life, he's a real friend of mine for like 12 years, is Marc Summers, who was the host of Double Dare and Unwrapped on the Food Network and What Would You Do? And he's a television
of the 80s. I feel
absolutely. If you're a kid from the 80s and 90s, you definitely know who Marc Summers is. And I met him so many years ago, and I was so intimidated to talk to him. And now we're such good friends, but every time I talk to him, I still leave the conversation going, did I just fucking talk to Marc Summers? Like, it still blows my mind because he was like my childhood idol.
That's
and his
cool.
His episode on Now We're Talking was super fun because he talks about all these parts of his career no one knows about, like when he was a stand-up comic and he shared the bill, like his first night ever at the Comedy Store in LA. It was him and like Letterman and Robin Williams and Richard Pryor and like all these guys. He has a picture of the set list. It is so crazy. Or the who played that night. And it's insane to see the names he was with. So that was pretty cool.
All right. Well, I think that's a really good place to start because I like to ask the question to open this show with what unexpected chance led you to where you are. But I would rather say, what led you to meeting Marc Summers that very first time? Was that chance?
It all he was just a part of a little chapter in my life that kind of was a launching pad for whatever the rest of my career turned out to be. So he is kind of an integral part of the whole thing. But how I met Marc, there was 4 seconds, I think it was 4.5 maybe seconds when I was like, I think I'm going to be an actor. This is really before I cemented the idea that being a composer lyricist is where I was meant to be. And I auditioned for a production of Rent. And I got cast as Mark in Rent. I had hair back then, so it worked better. And I was Mark, and I had to wear the glasses. And it was basically like, it's summer stock. So you do a show, and then immediately following, there's another show, and immediately following, there's another show. And during Rent rehearsals, the producer's like, hey, you look good in those glasses. You want to just stick around for Grease and play Eugene? It was
nice.
Just like the most convenient next gig ever. And Marc Summers was coming in as like the celebrity guest playing Vince Fontaine. And the two of us have nothing but downtime in that show. Eugene's on stage for like 40 seconds and he's only on that one scene. And so we just dicked around in the dressing room the whole time. And like all we did was crack each other up and like sneak out early and get dinner and whatever else. It was so fun. And I'd consider him one of my best friends at this point. It's really, really cool.
Wow.
How old is he? Is he our age? Like early 40s? Or is he a little... No, he's older. He's
Marc Summers?
Yeah, he's in his 50s, right?
Marc Summers just turned 70.
Shut up.
I'm dead serious. He was 36 when he was doing Double Dare. And that was back... I think that started in 86.
It was in the 80s, for sure. I remember it.
Such a young guy. I don't know. I was a kid. I don't have any sort of
Well, I mean, like, and he was such a young looking guy too. You probably looked at him and like, oh, one of me is on TV. Yeah, no, he just turned 70 years old. That's right.
Wow, that's insane. Did you go to his party?
I didn't, because he lives in Santa Barbara now. I think his neighbors are Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey.
There you go.
Yeah, crazy. And I don't think anybody's going to 70-year-olds' birthday parties right now. And
during the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Omicron. That's the latest Transformer.
Yeah.
Is the Omicron. Well, this isn't the Marc Summers podcast interview.
Exactly. I was just going to say.
We can make it that.
I keep saying Drew fucking Gasparini because that's how you named yourself here in this podcast.
We're going to show you a picture on Instagram. Or was it Chance on Instagram? Because I had to take a picture.
Excellent. Here I am.
We'll screenshot before we go. Drew fucking Gasparini. Tell me about what was the big chance you took that got you started with Karate Kid the musical? That I am seeing press and articles and things all over the place about this, and it's such
all over
the hyped show right now, and it hasn't even made it out of workshops yet.
We just did our workshop. We just did a 4-week workshop, and we're about to go do our out of town. So right now I'm scrambling, doing rewrites and, trimming things here and there. Nip and tuck, baby, nip and tuck. That's mostly what the writer's job is after you start workshopping. And it looks, guys, I can't even say, it feels bad. Listen, it feels bad saying this because I'm saying it about my own thing, but I will say this. This show is going to blow your mind.
Why does that feel bad?
To blow your mind. You know why? It's because I'm on the receiving end of a bunch of people who just want this to fail.
Oh man,
Twitter is such an evil cesspool of awfulness. And when those announcements start coming out, and there's all this press and Rolling Stone and Entertainment Weekly, and it's all over the place. It's inescapable. Maybe half, little less than half, are like, "Oh my god, I can't wait, Karate Kid! I love Karate Kid."
And then the other half are like, "Why the fuck would you turn this into a musical?"
Just what we fucking want. Haven't we learned our lesson? And these people have no idea that every adaptation or every musical on Broadway, like 99% of every musical on Broadway since the beginning of Broadway, has been an adaptive property of a play, a book, a novel, Greek tragedy, whatever it is. And the best part is the people that are saying, "Oh man, really? Do we need an adaptation?" Like their profile picture is Tracy Turnblatt from Hairspray, as if that's not a fucking adaptation of a movie from the 80s either. Jesus Christ, people. Yeah. But no, it really is going to be good. And it's not, I'm working my butt off on the score. I'm really excited about the work we're putting into it. But Keone and Mari Madrid, who are now working on the Britney Spears musical, they're choreographing, and it blew the roof off of the place during the workshop. What they do is so special and amazing. And just to get back to like the theme here of how did this happen, the chance of all of this, I would say that the entire career I have is chance, because I dropped out of college, but even if you went to college for composing for Broadway, like if it was that specific, they still wouldn't teach you how to get started. There's no way to know. There's no rules. You just have to have this weird 20-something-year-old confidence. You know that thing that a bunch of stupid straight guys have when they're in their 20s?
Did they lose that?
Oh yeah. The minute I turned 33, I was like, "Who am I?" And then all my hair fell out at once. It was amazing. It was very humbling. But in my 20s, I was just like, "Yeah, what do I have to lose?" I really had this. I was so unafraid, and I really would wait outside of stage doors at like Little Mermaid for Titus Burgess to come out and say, "Hey, here's a CD. Will you sing this for me?" Or like stalk people on Facebook and just cold message them, and "Will you please sing at my show at the Duplex?" These are Broadway actors, and they're so not gonna.
Yeah, but how often did they say yes?
Twice ever did they say yes, and Titus was one of those yeses, and it changed my whole career.
That's really what I mean. Like you can put yourself out there like that thousands of times, and it feels gutsy and overly confident and risky. But if twice people say yes and it changes your fucking life, then it's worth the effort.
I agree with that 100%. And I always say that to people when I do master classes and things like that. You know what I do? Heather and Alan? Here's what I do. When I do a master class, and I learned this from my friend Marc Summers, before I even say anything about the business, I say, hi, I'm Drew. I'm not an expert. Anybody who's in show business who says they're an expert is lying to you, because that doesn't exist, because we're always changing and evolving in this business. And how can you be an expert? And the second thing I say is, and I'll say it right here on the podcast, Drew Gasparini at gmail.com. And if you didn't write that down, that sucks, because I'm here for you. Really, if you don't take advantage of that, then you're going to be lost. Not just because it's me, because somebody is offering this to you. If you don't take that offer, it's up to you to seek them out. I am cutting so many corners for you by saying I am at your disposal. If you have questions, if you want to meet other composers, if you want to sing in a concert of mine, here's how we can communicate. I offer that up because I found through people like Titus, and Jeremy Jordan was the other one. Wow. I found through people like that who are willing to take a chance and sit down with you and talk about the business, or sing a song of yours, or sing in your concert, or whatever it is. It just goes a long way, and it helps everybody else out. Like Titus singing my song, I think he knows what that did for me at this point. I think Titus knows what that meant to me at this point, but that also works on his behalf too. He's singing a brand new writer's material. He's debuting unheard material. And no matter where you are in your career, that is an important thing to hang on to and continuously be excited about. So, and having that kind of confidence throughout my 20s to ask people made it very easy to share myself with the world and put it on YouTube and have the confidence, well, if Titus wants to sing this song, then surely other people will want to. Maybe I can sell sheet music to this. And then I'm paying my rent all of a sudden with my own art. And that's how it all started. It makes me emotional thinking back to it, because I don't even know if I would have the confidence now to do that. Honestly, so much shifts when you start finding success in this career, and how fast with success comes immense beatdowns. And every time you're underwater, you feel a little foot on your head holding you down just a little further. The more successful you get, the more underwater you feel a little bit, and it deteriorates that foolish confidence. And all of a sudden you have to work just not for yourself as an artist, but there's a whole machine you have to feed here. Karate Kid, for Christ's sake. I mean, it sounds so silly, but the Skittles commercial, these are giant accolades in my career. But even working on something as big and silly as that, it chips away at you. So thank goodness for those stupid, confident years.
I love it. I want to ask about the Skittles PR.
I love talking about the Skittles commercial. Ask me anything.
Yeah. I mean, I want to know everything about it. I want to know how it happened and then what happened from it.
Well, we all went to the desert and did a mountain of peyote. And then when we came out of the desert, this musical about Skittles was written.
Head of marketing for Skittles, Michael C. Hall, and Drew fucking Gasparini.
Yeah, that's it. The three of us wander into a desert. The rest is history. No, it's so weird. And I've told this story a few times, but like, again, this is chance. This is such a perfect thing for your podcast because of what the theme is here. But I was being sought after. I'm going to tie Karate Kid and Skittles together. I was going in for, I was being called by Gorgeous Entertainment, these producers who are producing the Karate Kid. And they were asking me, will you please submit some songs? We're hearing from a bunch of composers. We'd love to throw you in the mix. We're big fans of your album. I could use a drink. And I did. Guess what I did? No, because who needs another adaptation? That's sincerely what I did. That is sincerely what I did. And then they finally convinced me to submit. When I spoke to Robert Mark Kamen, who wrote all the movies, and he's writing the book for our stage adaptation. And he explained this visual idea and the way that they were going to elevate this beloved story for the stage. And immediately it was like, oh shit, this is going to be amazing. I have to get this job. And I killed myself to write these songs, and I wrote them very fast. Like everything, all the voicings and all the vocabulary of the characters and all that came to me so fast, and I submitted it. And I got the job, and about 2 weeks later, I got a call from my friend John Johnson, who's a Broadway producer, and he's won, I think, 4 trillion Tonys at this point. I don't know how that happened.
It's like all of them, but yeah.
No, he's won all the Tonys that ever existed. He owns them. He's a collector, really. He hasn't really won any of them. He's just buying them off of these actors. No, he's a great friend of mine, and he's a producer. And he called and he goes, "Yo, hey, my wife works for this ad agency, and or she used to work for this ad agency, and they're looking for a songwriter to basically make fun of." And I love Benj and Justin, but to basically make fun of Dear Evan Hansen, just the style of it, the overdramatic melodrama pop kind of thing that was really hit hot with that show. And I said, I could do that with my eyes closed, sure. And I started I said, what is this for exactly? And they said, and this is a little trivia for you guys. And I honestly don't know if I'm allowed to say this, so I might get a slap on the wrist, but this is all done now, so who cares? They said, we're writing the Skittles commercial starring John Malkovich. This is who it was before it was Michael C. Hall. It was John fucking Malkovich. Yes. So then we all learned that John Malkovich actually cannot sing. John Malkovich didn't end up doing it. Then it was Andrew Rannells for a minute, and then he dropped out, and then Michael C. Hall said yes to it. And I'm in my head, I'm like, of course they all said no to this. What the hell are we doing? We're writing a musical for the Super Bowl that's not going to air. You have to buy tickets for it, and it's a full-length musical. An insane premise. The whole thing that is just insane. The chance part of this is one of the cast members in the Skittles commercial that I booked 1 week after I booked Karate Kid is Julia Macchio, Ralph Macchio's daughter. Ralph Macchio, who played Daniel in the Karate Kid movies and now in Cobra Kai, his daughter was in the Skittles commercial. So I went up to her, I was like, is your dad Ralph Macchio? And of course it was. She looks just like him. And is your dad Ralph Macchio? Yes. I go, I'm writing the Karate Kid. I just found this out like right before I started this. She goes, that's you. I heard about it. So there's a bit of chance for you. That's a story that continuously blows my mind.
This is a small world right there.
That's insanely cool. Well, theater is I think a lot of chance. Just because there's so many moving parts, it's like this spider web of opportunities and auditions and timing, and literally it's how you go in and present yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like if you go in and giving zero flying flips about what you're doing, you're probably going to get the job. But if you're going in there with desperation, they can like sense that sweating off of your brow.
Yeah, and they go, we don't want to hang out with this guy. He's too sweaty, and then you don't get the job. And it all has to do with flop sweat. It really does. Botox, kids. They should be teaching you that year 1 at the Boston Conservatory. Botox and where to get it. That's right.
I want to go back to something you had said. Actually, you gave out your Gmail address, which I think is bold, because
now you've given it out. You've given it out to everyone who listens to the show.
Well, listen, the truth is, I get so much weird shit sent to me at Gmail and at my Gmail account anyway that it really doesn't bother me. And like, if you're really trying to sleuth, you could probably figure out Drew Gasparini at gmail.com. You know, it's not like some big wacky secret. And if I might not get back to you, but there's a very good chance I will. So anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, Alan.
Well, no, I actually want to take it a minute and bring this down. Bring it down. Is actually take it to a serious moment, because Sondheim just passed a couple weeks ago as we're recording this, and when he died, it was just, I saw this outpouring of these notes and memos and pictures of letters that for decades and decades, even at the height of his success, he was still personally answering fan mail, doing exactly what you said that happened to you and that what you want to do to other people is giving advice, talking to literally answering fan mail in a very legitimate, helpful way, not just like, hey, here's a signed picture, there's the door. So it's incredibly, I think, noble's not the right word. Maybe humble is the right word. I don't know. But I think, speaking to the chance of it all, you don't know any of the people who are going to write to you may be, of course, wanting to, you may give them the advice and they take a chance writing you take a chance responding, and then they become the next Lynn or the next Sondheim, or the next Weber, or whoever
the next
it is.
Drew fucking Gasparini.
And then
or the next Drew fucking Gasparini.
The next Drew fucking Gasparini. And then you are all taking the journey together because of one little chance.
I've always thought that there is certainly room for everybody to kind of be a part of this world and be a part of this life in show business or theater or whatever it is you're trying to do out here. And I think you could either go the route of, and I would never say, I'm doing this the way Sondheim did. Sondheim was he broke rules, created rules. Like the guy is one of the gods of musical theater. He's on Mount Rushmore of musical theater. I am in no way saying I am one of those Mount Rushmore faces, therefore I have all you need for the wisdom and guidance of your own future. But encouragement certainly goes a long way, and if it's just about finding what your voice is, because Lord knows I don't want a bunch of people sounding like me or anything like that, but like I'm so down to like listen to what it is they're working on and just encourage them to keep going if it sounds like them. But if I hear someone send a song and I'm like, that is a Jason Robert Brown song, I'm going to let them know, because I think the biggest tool for them is to be able to find the uniqueness within themselves. I think that's what's going to help kind of make the ripple effect continue within the theater. And a lot of people, because of the competitive nature of this industry, a lot of people hang on to their own advice. And I think that's so stupid. I think that is that's like developing a tumor. Like, I don't understand why you would hold on to the wisdom that you've gained or the guidance someone else gave you. And you go, oh, good, I'm going to keep that for myself so I can beat everybody else. Fuck that. Yeah. Dude, no way. Yeah. There's so many projects and so many stories and so many different ways to tell them all. You can't do them yourself. Share that wealth. And my God, when you see someone that does it in a way that's not better, because that's subjective, but so different, unique, that you're like, ooh, I could never do it that way. Yeah. Be excited about that. I think that's amazing. And I've said this too, with any success I've gotten, which does take me away from any time I have to coach one-on-one or do master classes, I make sure I make time for those master classes or for those one-on-one workshops, because it is so important. And I understand the value firsthand, not just as the teacher seeing it work, but as someone who was clueless and come like a baby in diapers walking around New York City. Yeah. Actually, I was just a grown man in diapers, drunk, very drunk, walking around New York City.
Like last week.
This was a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Just a diaper walking around. No, but like I remember Stephen Flaherty was a mentor of mine, and Adam Guan and Miller and Tyson. I would just, the time they gave me meant so much more. Even if I didn't take anything I needed from them, the encouragement of talking to them and saying, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're here. It's going to happen as long as you have patience and blah, blah, blah. All the things they said, it so mattered. And all those things kept me here, because everybody could find a reason to leave New York. Everybody could.
Oh, sure. You said something, though, that I really find fascinating. And to me, it fits in so well with the theme of this show, which is embracing chance, looking for your creative opportunities, being thoughtful and intentional. When you said, do it the way you do it, to me, like, that feels like the number one advice we can give to a creative is stop fucking trying to imitate somebody else's art and do it the way you would do it. I wrote a book called Fuck Fearless, and that's my number one rule, is that there are no rules.
Yes.
And that feels like that to me.
Yes. I love that. I love that title too. Fuck Fearless. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Which is the title of my sex tape is Fuck Fearlessly. So
So when I first shared the title of the book, that's my mom called me and asked me that question. She goes, does the title mean fuck yeah, I'm fearless, or does it mean fuck fearlessly? And I was like, neither thing, Mom.
Neither. Just fuck fearless. Yeah. It's deeper than that, Mom.
You and my mom, Alan says something. Alan would say, you and my mom, Drew, you and my mom.
Your mom and I have always had it going on. We really have. No, but it's important. And that's not to say like everybody's influenced by somebody. Actors are, we grab inspiration from all sorts of people who've come before us, but and that bleeds into whatever our sound is. But like there is a clear defining gap between imitation and influence. And I think even I listened to some early stuff of mine. I was like, was I trying really hard to be Joe Iconis here? I think I was. I think I was for like 5 years, you know.
Do you have any, I guess, looking back with the Karate Kid specifically, do you have any moment where it sort of clicked for you that something that was a guess that was completely unknown that you didn't think would work just by chance? You're like, well, I got really freaking lucky. This is working for me here now.
I mean, every day I'm a part of this, something new is revealed as to why I feel so lucky to be a part of this team. I think, you know, it trickles down from the top is something we hear all the time. And I'm witnessing that firsthand with this. Our producer, Kamiko Yoshi at Gorgeous Entertainment, she is, and it's so funny when I mention her name to some people in Broadway, they're like, so who's producing? I'm like, oh, Kamiko Yoshi. And they're like, oh my God, she gets shit done. Like she has this reputation and she just does not stop. Like during the pandemic, she was calling. And in my head, I was like, well, that's never going to happen. I have to go back and get a degree because I don't have one of those and figure out a plan B right now. And she was calling to say, don't you worry. We're going to come back. I'm in conversations with the league every day. I'm in conversations with our investors every day. I'm in conversations with the book writer and our director in Japan every day. Like she was obsessing about this project. So I felt safe with her at the helm. And just in terms of like watching it work, this isn't just an adaptation. We are enhancing a beautiful story. And what really matters in the story of the Karate Kid is something I connect to deeply, which is, again, here we talk about mentors. You know, a lot of this is chance, but without the encouragement, chance won't even happen because you won't stick around to see if chance will happen. So the Miyagi and Daniel story is so gorgeous to me. It's so beautiful. And I think the way we're telling that story is stunning. And the movie's there. You're going to see the parts of the movie you like, but man, are we changing things for the stage it really feels like this is its separate thing. It's not.
I can't wait to see
and this movie is on stage. This really is the musical, not the musical version. This is like a musical, The Karate Kid. It really feels that of its own.
How much of I guess my question is when a show hits the Broadway stage, you want to have as little left to chance as possible.
Yeah. Man, have you been inside of my stress dreams at night? Oh my God. Every time I wake up and I take a giant stress-induced diarrhea and I look at it and it's like tea leaves and it says, beware, every morning.
You're writing the music and lyrics, and there's book writers and there's directors and the choreographers and the producers, and at a certain level, investors get a say sort of in the creative process, right? So there's all of these cooks in the kitchen that are trying to have things go towards a single direction, point the train down the same track. How much of what you are doing do you ultimately leave to chance, or do you think you will leave to chance, versus how much? I mean, obviously when a show needs to be scripted and choreographed, and you want to make sure that your actors don't get hit in the head with the fly with set pieces when they're coming in and
safety. I mean, we're not chancing the safety of individuals on stage. This isn't Spider-Man, for Christ's sake. There's a couple moments where I would say we are taking some big swings that are like, the chances, if we leave it up to chance, it's like this could either fall so hard on its face or this could be the most rewarding part of the show. So there's no way to know what the chance is. I mean, or what the response is till there is a response. So you just take the chance until there's an audience. And, thank God for the workshop. And then thank God for the out of town where you kind of get a test audience to beta this thing. And then hopefully it all continues to work for the New York tourism crowds. I don't know, but geez, it's stressful every day. It's stressful.
Well, so there's so much in that makes me think of embracing fear, right? This idea that, you're going to do all of this very thoughtfully with a lot of intention and a lot of hard work and a lot of planning. And then the rest of it is up to chance because you don't have a choice. You have to see what happens. And that is terrifying. So what kind of role does fear have in your life?
I wish I could say it was not the thing leading me right now.
Well, fuck fearless.
Fuck fearless.
Embrace
That's
your fears.
Right. You know, it's the fear. Again, this is like the older I get, the more I feel like there is to lose. This is personally for me. This is in no way me saying this is how it is, kids. This is what it is. I think the pandemic had a certain effect on me, and we watched it go away. So there's always the fear of that rug getting pulled out from under you once again. Weirdly enough, this is so strange. There was something in the universe, and I'm never this hooey about this kind of stuff, but there was just something in the wind the last couple of weeks with
not your diarrhea.
Okay. It was my diarrhea. It turns into vapor. I stick my ass out the window. It was in the wind. No, but honestly, just the beauty of the theater community is so grand to me. And it's the constant reminder, even when I get sick of it and I rip out the last hair from my head and I'm just absolutely stressed to insanity, I can always look to the theater community as a whole and be like, oh, this is why it is. And lately, with Tick, Tick, Boom coming out and West Side Story coming out and Sondheim passing away, I felt a lot more fearless than I had in the last 6 months or so. And that fear in the last 6 months was, I guess it was a realization. We're back. Broadway's back. Karate Kid is happening. We're in the middle of workshops. We just announced our out of town. We're about to announce our Broadway theater. There's a lot, like it's happening. And I've been close to Broadway 5 fucking times. And what that means for those listening is that's each one of those fingers I'm holding up, each 5 of those things is about 6 years that I was working on one of those projects. Wow. That you get right to the announcing the theater and then, no, we change our mind. So the fear is it just won't happen. So with that fear, I lose incentive. Why would I write my best stuff for this if it's just not going to happen like the rest of them? A lot of that was going on with me. Yeah. To the point that, if I have time for a little story here.
Yeah.
Right before Sondheim died, and he's as much an inspiration to me as he is any other writer. He really, really is that. He's like the Beatles. He's so significant to the writing of musical theater, just like the Beatles were for any pop writing from when they existed. That's how significant he is to me and any other writer. So at the very top of this month, I did a concert at 54 Below. It was the first time I did a concert without Broadway singers coming to sing my shit. It was just me on stage. I just wanted to kind of have my resurgence into the performing world without the fortress of a piano in front of me and actually just standing in front of an audience and singing my songs. And it was deeply personal. And I'm writing this piece about my family. And it's like a saga of sorts. And my parents were in the audience and I'm writing about them, visceral stuff that kind of airs everybody's dirty laundry, and it's so vulnerable, and in a weird way I feel safest doing it in front of a huge group of people because I feel connected, because I think it's that dirty laundry that makes people go, oh, my family too, oh yeah, that's just like my mom, oh yeah, there's a lot of that going on. So my Karate Kid producers were there at the show, and they called me after this concert and they said, you see how deep you cut into your veins for that concert and that the material that you're writing for that show? You need to do that for this show. And it scared the shit out of me because in my head I was like, oh, fuck, they hate everything I've written for Karate Kid. And that's not what they're saying. What they're saying is we just workshopped. There are moments that need fixing. And it's not just about going and finding a new lyric here and there. It's about doing what Sondheim would do. And again, his passing made me reflect on all of his work and my role as a composer within the world. Even if it's something like an adaptation of Karate Kid, I have to treat this like it is the last thing I'm going to write. And no matter what the show is, no matter what the commission is, no matter where the stage is that this is going to be put on, you have to be able to dive so deep into yourself to do it. And all those fears I had these 6 months, I didn't allow myself to dive into Karate Kid as deep as I should have been. And now I very, very, very much am. And it took me sharing those pages of my diary essentially on stage and showcasing that to my producers for them to be like, hey, we love your stuff. Now let's dive in a little deep. This is your Broadway debut, dude. Let's do it. Let's go.
I love that story. And so much of it has to be about, yes, fighting that battle of why am I going to put all this time and effort and energy into it when it's just going to fucking fall apart at the end like the rest of them have, versus it's never going to make it. I'm never going to cross that line if I don't give it everything I've got. And you have to like acknowledge you feel those other things and then go, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my all into this anyway, because eventually we're going to get there.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that I kind of had that wake up call.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I have a relationship with my producers where they can call me out and say, yo, that was like the best material we've ever heard from you. Can you apply a bit of that process that you put into those songs into some of the material that's a little lacking right now in our show? It was a completely honest conversation. And the conversations I typically have with producers are like, this song needs more violins. And then I go, okay, that's not my job, but sure, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'll send them the same exact demo without changing a thing with no violins again. And they'll be like, oh, thank you. That's perfect. They typically don't really have any idea about the process or what it goes into writing a song. But these producers caught me, and they do know.
It sounds like your producers were asking for more of your heart.
Yeah, and especially because, frankly, if I to even go a little deeper, without giving anything away about Karate Kid, the Miyagi material, the Daniel material, the Kreese material, that's all very strong musically. Songwriting-wise, I feel so good about that, so do the producers. But where we're trying to enhance the show and elevate the Karate Kid is give Lucille, the mother, a much more of a story and much more of a backstory. And she has virtually zero in the movie. Same with Allie. Allie is just, typical 80s movie. She's the girl. And that's how you would qualify that part in the 80s. She's the girl. And in this one, we're giving her so much more spirit. And because we're inventing these things for an adaptive property, I had yet to dive all the way in. But now, boy, wait till you guys see. Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, how do you approach songwriting then? What is your element of getting into the zone to start? Do you do music first, lyrics first?
I monologue. I just start a recording and I go, okay, what's this song about? And I just start having a conversation with myself and see if I record something that I'm saying that could be turned into a phrase or find the hook or whatever. Because if it's just coming from my own thoughts in my own head and my own heart, that's going to feel honest to me. But what doesn't help, and what we've had in the last workshop, before we knew what to do with these characters, we were still figuring it out. I would be given new pages of the script and then just a blank page that said Drew writes a song here. That does not help. You know what I mean? So
oh wow.
So for some part, and that's not just this show. I got to make that clear. That's for a lot of musicals. When you're workshopping and the writer's not sure and the composer's not sure, you just leave these blank holes. And then they're like, oh shit, we got a presentation for investors in 3 days. Let's just fill it with a song that gives a rough idea of what it could be. And so I was writing really fast songs about I don't know, heartbreak or what it's like to watch your son get beat up or whatever, and you throw those in very, very fast. And it's a big waste of talent like Kate Baldwin. and it's a big waste of everyone's time because those songs aren't going to end up in the show. They're space fillers. So process changes all the time, but mine always starts from my internal point of view, because you got to be empathetic to the situation you're writing for and the person you're writing for. But you are kind of out on a tightrope when you get a page that says, and Drew writes a song here. And you're like, okay, sure, here we go. And you just try. Yeah. So yeah, that's where we were and we're not anymore.
When you think about all of those 5 times, you held up your whole hand and you're counting the 5 times, and we can do the math on all those years. It's not necessarily rejection. You were hired for these projects. You worked hard. Something changed. But how does one bounce back? What's your process after that happens? When you get that close, you can taste it, touch it, smell it, and then it's pulled. What do you do next?
It's gotta be hard.
Oh yeah, it's really hard, but I think with everyone you kind of your skin gets a bit thicker and you have a better understanding of just the occupational hazard of it all. But there was a time when there was I had 4 projects in the burner at once. I was writing them simultaneously. And I was so excited about all of them. And I was still a pretty young guy. I was 27, 28 and really, really kicking my butt for these shows. And then they all kind of fizzled every 6 months, another one would fall. But the first one fell, and I was like, okay, well, I still have 3. And the second one fell, I was like, okay, well, I still have 2. And then I was like, oh shit, there's 1 left, and then it was none. And you're like, oh, I got to start over again. I have to go submit for jobs and spec songs for studios and this, that, and the other, just to try to get work. Meanwhile, of course, you're always working on like your heart project, your dream project. And those are a little harder to get off the ground, particularly if you don't have, something attached to your resume that says, yo, this guy did it on Broadway. Let's take a look at his dream project now, So I'm really thankful for Karate Kid at this point in my career, because I could see this as something, again, chance. There's a chance that this could offer me permission to do the thing I really want to do, which is like a mountain of projects I've been working on since I was like 17 years old that I'm still so excited about, and would love the opportunity to show somebody, and maybe this will help me get the resources to do that. So that's another reason why I'm putting everything I have into this score.
That's interesting. The connection that I don't know if you sort of made it on purpose, but I drew a connection. The 4 things, one by one, they sort of fell through. And if you're doing them all at once, I guess they're not the passion projects. They're not the love. You're doing them because you need money, you need a paycheck, you need work. And then you actually said no to Karate Kid, thinking again, it was going to be another one of these things. But now it's become this thing that when you talk about it, you light up. You were
clearly in love with it.
The producers called you and you're like, we need more of your heart in these scenes that we're going to rewrite.
This has been a completely special situation, and the reason why, I'm sorry I cut you off, Alan. But to say it, those other projects, of course, everything can be a passion project because you can fall in love with something you're working on. And I did do that with these shows, but it was Warner Brothers, and I got this thing I'm doing with Universal. I just lost faith in the studio system. And even though Karate Kid is a big studio movie, we are not being produced by a big studio. We are being produced by an independent house. And that is what makes it feel like we're taken care of, honestly. We get stuff like, hey, hurry up at like other studios. I'm not going to name names, but we'll get things like, hey, hurry up and write this deadline because we want to do a reading in November. And then I'm rushing to write. By the way, you don't get paid for all these rewrites. You don't. You're putting hours in. And you rush to hit the deadline. And then after you turn it in, they go, hey, that thing we wanted to do for a workshop next month, we're going to actually push it a year from now. So you just worked to meet a deadline to wait another year. It is an insane process. And I haven't seen that with anything other than the major studios. And that's just the nature of the beast.
I don't like that.
No, it is problematic. But the funny thing is I don't think it's talked about like ever in a forum where people are like, really? Because no one knows. I have to call my manager all the time to say, do I get paid for this one now? Do I get paid at this point of the process? I have no idea. It's insane how much when you get your contract, there is so much money on the contract. Like you're seeing all like these giant amounts of dollars. And then you realize, oh, that's when it opens.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. Because you still have to capitalize. You need to get your producers to get the you have to get the money there to opening night. And then you get percentage of box office. So
all of this is for chance. All of this is risk. All of this is.
So those other 5 times you didn't get paid for any of your work?
So you get paid upon signing. You get paid for a first draft, but then you don't get paid necessarily for the second draft. You don't necessarily get paid for the first reading. You don't necessarily get paid for any reading. So you could be working on a show for 6 years and not get one paycheck for 5 of those years.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
But then the chance, sorry, I have chocolate cookies in my mouth right now.
You chose a really good time to eat some chocolate cookies.
I'm really hungry. I'm sorry. So I totally forgot my train of thought. Damn you, Keith.
It's okay.
I would like to know, and then Alan will remember his question.
Yes, Heather Vickery.
Would like to know, Drew fucking Gasparini, when you are your most creative, and how do you know? Like you're like on that precipice of, oh shit, here I go.
I just ended a flow like yesterday, and for me, I try to write every day. That there's no question. I sit down, I have a blank page, or I have something I'm in the middle of, or I sit at the piano for a few hours and I just play until something comes out. I have 4 trillion recordings on my phone of just ideas, things I'm coming up with as I go. But some days it's like Tick Tick Boom was so real when he's writing the word your with apostrophe RE, and then he deletes it and then starts it again with your as in YOUR, and as if that's going to make a huge difference. and that's like days of his life. That's like 4 days of his week is looking at a blank page and putting one word, deleting it, writing a word, deleting it, and starting again. That could be several weeks in a row for me.
Yeah.
But when I have a flow and it's just coming, like I get up super early, I'm super excited to start. I'm ready to work into the night if I have to. And most of the time when that happens, I think it's at the very end of whatever the most stressful thing I'm going through at the time is. So my producers said that thing about like, you got to dig a little deeper. And then I had an existential crisis of, oh my God, they think I'm a fraud. They hired the wrong guy and this, that, the other. And then one of my producers wrote to me and he goes, we don't want to get in your head about that with our comment. In fact, I think you're on the brink of a breakthrough for Karate Kid. The minute I read that, I go, no, I'm not. I closed my computer and was like, I have an idea. And I didn't stop for like 5 days. It felt so good. And there is, for like the 40 days that you're writing dog shit and nothing's coming out of your mind, nothing worthwhile is coming out of your mind, and you get 5 days of flow, those 5 days make up for those 40 days. Absolutely. Easily, in spades. And then by and large, like whenever I'm at my parents' house, they have this piano that it almost seems like no matter what, the minute my hands are on the keys, I start writing a new song. I don't know what it is about that piano, but it always
is it the comfort, the safety of your childhood home? I think there is a lot of that to it. And I think, in the therapy I've been doing the last few years, I hang on so tightly to my little guy, that sounds like I'm talking about. Hey, listen. Else. I hang on to my inner child is what I'm trying to say. I hang on to my inner child like very, and I protect him and I take him everywhere I go because he's where I find the greatest source of inspiration and fearlessness, because he's so young, he doesn't know the ickiness of the world. Yeah. And I follow his lead. And if I'm in my parents' house at that piano that represents all those years of my life when I started out writing songs, it is so easy to just be one with that inner child and let whatever I have to say come out. And it usually comes out in a really fluid and honest, and some of my best songs are all written on that piano.
Can you compose on the spot?
Yes.
If I gave you a sentence, could you compose a song on the spot right now?
I could try. Let me turn the piano on.
Alan knows what's coming.
Okay, all right, what's the sentence? Let's see. This might be dog shit.
Shut the fuck up, Alan.
This is now become a running gag.
Shut the fuck up, Alan?
Yeah, that's it.
Barking and we're all watching Jimmy Fallon. My mom's in the other room. She says, hey, shut the fuck up, Alan. How's that?
Thank you. That was fantastic. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
I like that's my ballad. I think.
Yeah, I don't know why. I could have given you something real up tempo, but I really felt it's the lights behind you. You got those sparkly lights. I wanted to get a little
I think that's gonna be my ringtone now. Every time
Shut the fuck up, Alan.
Well, Drew, thank you so damn much. It is always a pleasure to see your face and hear your voice and to interact with your flow and your energy. And you are a force, man.
And your little man. No,
and your little man.
And your little man too. Well, thank you, Alan.
Other than just emailing you, which we now all know we can do. If people want to follow you and follow your work, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, you can. I'm on Instagram at Drew Gasparini, Twitter at Drew Gasparini. You can find me at the Broadway Podcast Network at bpn.fm/now we're talking.
Wow.
On good. Spotify and wherever else you find podcasts. And I am on TikTok. I forget that sometimes because I never post, but people like to tag me in them singing my stuff. So find me on TikTok and tag me. I'd love to see you sing my stuff.
A TikTok tag.
A TikTok tag.
A TikTok tag. Right. I love that. Well, I'm going to get myself to Broadway, and Alan's going to take me to see The Karate Kid when I come.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Alan?
Tickets on me. Tickets on me.
Damn straight.
Can't wait. Straight. Good luck with everything. You are
Thanks,
a creative inspiration. We're grateful for you. Thanks,
Where's
Drew.
the out of town going to be?
The out of town is in at the Kirkwood Kirkwood Performing Arts Center in right outside of St. Louis in Missouri.
Nice. So those in that area, go see the out of town when it's there.
Yes.
And then write Drew and tell him how awesome he is.
That's right.
And give him constructive feedback. Constructive.
And praise and celebration and love, because we work really hard and we want to be appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
Just don't tell him all the things you would change. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Drew.
All right, you guys. Absolutely. Take care. Thanks for having me.
Part of me didn't want to ask Drew to do his own rendition of Shut the Fuck Up, Alan, because I wanted to preserve the amazing off-the-cuff performance that James Harkness did in our first real episode. But then I thought I could not pass up this opportunity, and he did not let me down.
He did not. I was particularly happy with this. He and James should get together and write the full version of Shut the Fuck Up, Alan.
That's the next big Broadway hit. Shut the fuck up.
So it's funny, not funny. It's interesting to me to. I'm getting real a second for just a millisecond.
It's good. We couldn't have an episode that doesn't drop a Hamilton lyric.
Right.
So.
Drew, I know through of course BPN and through the Broadway scene, and he's always just been this funny, upbeat, very just energetic guy. And then behind it all, we saw a lot of it in this episode. Behind it all is so much caring and so much heart and so much desire to be great, but not in a selfish way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It doesn't feel selfish at all. I didn't get a single selfish vibe from Drew. In fact, he seems to have an approach that I try to have as well, which is give and give and give and give and give and give, because that's how we receive. Like the more you give to others and support others, the more people show up for you in that way.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people recently that at the height of their success. I mean, we even brought up Sondheim in the episode that at beginning, middle, after their height of the success, whatever you want to call it in the career path that they've got, they always stop and take the time to be helpful and to give advice and to share knowledge. And it's been like that in the corporate world too, in the business world. The people that I have interacted with that are like, this is mine and I'm not going to share it and I'm going to be the best and I'm insecure and no one else can have it.
Yeah, they suck.
They don't do
fail.
well.
That's right.
They fail for the most part. Or if they're successful, it doesn't last very long, because I don't feel like you can maintain success without growing a team, without having friends, without having support from a community. And especially here in the Broadway world, New York, it's so tiny. The theater Broadway world is so small.
Yeah.
So you've got to have support from the industry.
But to me, it's a lot. I mean, when we're talking about creation and manifestation, it is so much about the energy you put out is the energy you get back. And if you want people to, there were two particular, I think it was before and after we started recording, so it's not going to be recorded, but where you said, oh, Drew, you should meet this person. And I'd love to see you collaborate with this person. Like, we don't offer that to people who don't offer that to other people.
I didn't even think about that. You're right.
Right. Like, it's exciting. It's fun to say, oh, I want to introduce you. I want you to meet my friend, or I want to see what you could collaborate and create together. That's fun to do, but it's not fun to do for people who take and take and never give and give.
Right. Well, it's I said that because I'm thinking like Steven Sater is who you're talking about. Steven has been in my life a lot recently for various reasons, and it's trusting my instinct. It's something you said, I think, in episode 1 of this podcast when it was just the two of us. When you're like, or maybe it was with Erica. I can't remember. Everything with you blends together now. It's so much. It's so awesome. That when something is positive, what you want to move towards, it's coming from your chest, from your solar plexus. Oh, yeah. And then if you're like, you don't like it, it's in your neck, it's in your back, kind of pulling you away.
Yep.
And Drew's one of those guys that pulls me towards him. Steven is, James is. It's these guys that, we talk about the relationships that we have, and especially I think maybe for men, or maybe this could be common for other guys, and I'm just now discovering it because I'm just now open to it. I don't know, but I'm developing these relationships, these platonic relationships with men in a way that are satisfying me in a type of friendship that I've never had before. And so it's interesting to me. I've wanted to now say, oh, this person is really cool and that person is really cool, so we should all be cool together, because then we'll be that much cooler together, and a rising tide lifts all ships.
That's right. Yeah. There must be something though in that. And Drew talked about this, a level of confidence. I think it's difficult to do what you just said if you don't have self-confidence. So once we feel good about the space we take up in our lives and in our circles, right? We have to feel good about it, and not anticipate somebody's going to go, no, shut the fuck up, Alan. I don't want to, I don't want to meet the people, you don't know anybody, right? Like I think, people are going to trust me. They respect my opinion on this. I mean, I'm pretty sure Drew said that. Like, if you want me to meet somebody, I'll meet whoever you want me to meet because I trust you. But you put that out there because you have the self-confidence to do it. And we have to learn that. We have to learn that through trying and failing and being rejected and getting constructive criticism and still doing our best. And that's how we gain that self-confidence.
That's what, a quick plug to my other podcast, the Theater Podcast with Alan Seals. One of my closing questions is, what advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now, starting out down a similar path? This relates to something I just had therapy a few days ago, and we're talking about, I'm 41 now, and at this age, this point in my life, I was telling my therapist, I said, I don't particularly care. All of a sudden this switch just flipped, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do 40s. What I feel is really important. And that's exactly what she said. She's like, it's your 40s. And then that's the advice that I wish I could give to my younger self, and combine it with what Drew said, which was like having the ignorant confidence just to walk up to people at a stage door and say, here you go, here's my music, sing it for me. Like, having that confidence combined with the 40s knowledge of not giving a fuck anymore. I think that is a very special and rare combination.
It is. And I don't think that many younger people can have it, because there really is, you used to call it midlife crisis. I call it a midlife catharsis. There is something that changes when we turn 40, where we're like, I have 0 fucks to give. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do my thing, and the right people are going to like it, and the rest of them can fuck off.
Right.
It's simple. I don't know. I have a question for you that I ask on my podcast, the Brave Files. So if we're going to plug them both. How do you celebrate? Because with the things that we're talking about are worthy of celebration, like having that level of self-confidence and being willing to not care and still try new things and put yourself out there. I don't think you celebrate enough.
You're right. I don't, because I don't make the time.
Yeah, but it can be in the moment too, like right in the moment.
Like last night, I celebrated a bunch of, I ticked off 40 of about 80 to-dos that I had to do, literally, and no joke, about 40 to-dos off my list. And I was riding high on the dopamine rush from checking off all those to-dos. And I said, I feel good. I'm in a good place. I don't need to start anything. I'm going to reward myself by going to bed on time. And I went to bed. I went to bed at 12. I stopped at 12, got in bed, looked at some happy news. I made sure it wasn't anything depressing. I just wanted to read some happy news. And then I rolled over and passed out. And it was so great. But how do I celebrate? Obviously,
that is a celebration, I think. I'll just say that.
I do. I agree with you. And part of what I do is taking the time. My me time is sitting in a theater, a large theater with a crowd of strangers and going on an emotional journey with people I've never met and won't talk to afterwards. I love that feeling. And that's why I'm attracted to the arts. That's why I love Broadway. I love the stage, because people at the top of their game being able to feel satisfaction in and of themselves and take us all on a journey and have us experience empathy and emotion in a way that we probably may never get to in another circumstance.
I love that. I think that's cool.
So I wish I could see more shows. How do you celebrate?
Says Alan, who goes to more shows than any other human I've ever known in my entire life. I celebrate in a lot of little ways. Today, I'm celebrating by, when we're done, I'm going to go for a walk because it's 57 degrees on December 2nd and it's really sunny. And I'm just going to celebrate that it's beautiful outside and my body works and I can go out for a walk. Like I celebrate all the things. I think lately my favorite way to celebrate is to replay the Shut the Fuck Up Alan songs that we put on this show. Because it brings me joy.
And on that note, let's replay Drew's version.
Barking and we're all watching Jimmy Fallon. My mom's in the other room. She says, "Hey, shut the fuck up, Alan."
That was funny.
This is fun. I love this show. I love you. I'm grateful for you.
I love you too. I'm grateful for you. This is great. I'm grateful for our guest, Drew Gasparini. I'm grateful for all of our guests so far and all the guests that we have yet to have on. We have
a lot of cool people coming on. Like there's some great stuff coming up. So keep listening, keep sharing, do that subscribe, rate, review thing, because then you don't miss an episode. And also it really does make a difference in the algorithms. So we appreciate you. And we want to know what's happening. What kind of chance are you taking? What surprise opportunities presented themselves that you took advantage of? You can DM us directly on Instagram. We are Was It Chance? I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seals.
And this is Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life.